The United States House of Representatives has passed a bill that could lead to a ban on the sale of DJI drones. Titled the Countering CCP Drones Act, the legislation aims to address national security concerns related to drones manufactured by entities associated with the Chinese government. The bill is pending a Senate vote. Should the Senate approve the bill, DJI would be added to the Federal Communications Commission's (FCC) covered list, potentially halting new equipment authorizations for DJI products or software in the U.S. The legislation is not anticipated to affect existing drones that have already received FCC approval. DJI has raised concerns regarding the proposed ban, citing significant financial repercussions and negative effects on sectors such as public safety and domestic innovation. The company has reiterated its dedication to data privacy and security measures. Currently, the proposed legislation does not render it illegal to operate already approved DJI drones in the U.S. However, future regulations could potentially influence the legality of flying these drones. Owners of DJI drones are advised to remain informed about the progress of the legislation and any subsequent regulatory changes. If you're a drone enthusiast, then you need to hear this. Today, we will discuss the implications of the Countering CCP Drones Act and its potential impact on drone usage in the United States. The Countering CCP Drones Act is a proposed piece of legislation aimed at restricting the use of drones manufactured in China, particularly those produced by DJI. If enacted, this legislation would prohibit the use of DJI drones, a brand that is well known among drone enthusiasts and professionals alike. The rationale behind this act is the concern that these drones could be used for espionage, transmitting sensitive information back to China. However, it is important to note that there is no substantial evidence to support these allegations. The concerns are largely based on suspicions and precautionary measures. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the bill has been framed as a matter of national security. This legislation would not only affect hobbyists, but also has broader implications. It could significantly disrupt various industries that depend on drone technology, including agriculture, filmmaking, and search and rescue operations. We will explore these potential disruptions in more detail later. The Countering CCP Drones Act has sparked a significant debate among policymakers, industry experts, and the general public. Proponents argue that the act is a necessary step to protect national security and prevent potential espionage. On the other hand, critics claim that the act is based on unfounded fears and could stifle innovation and economic growth. The outcome of this legislation could set a precedent for how the United States handles foreign technology in the future. As we delve deeper into this topic, we will examine the potential consequences and the broader implications for the drone industry and beyond. Section 2. DJI on Edge. Why the drone giant is sweating bullets. DJI is currently under immense pressure from the U.S. government. The stakes are high, and the potential consequences are severe. DJI controls a massive chunk of the global drone market, and the U.S. is a huge part of that. This ban could cost them billions, and that's not even taking into account the damage to their reputation. Imagine being labeled a national security threat when all you're trying to do is sell some high-tech flying cameras. They've been trying to reason with the powers that be, pointing out that there's no evidence to support these claims, and that their drones are used by everyone from firefighters to farmers. But so far, it seems like their pleas are falling on deaf ears. It's a classic case of guilty until proven innocent, and unfortunately, in this political climate, fear and suspicion often trump logic and evidence. It's enough to make you want to scream into the void, or maybe just fly your drone really, really high. But before you do that, let's talk about who else might get caught in the crossfire. The potential ban doesn't just affect DJI's bottom line. It has far-reaching implications for their employees, suppliers, and even the end users who rely on their technology for various critical applications. Farmers, for instance, use DJI drones for crop monitoring and management, which significantly boosts agricultural productivity. Firefighters depend on these drones for real-time aerial views during rescue operations, which can be the difference between life and death. Engineers utilize DJI drones for inspecting infrastructure, ensuring safety and efficiency in construction and maintenance projects. A ban on DJI drones could disrupt these essential services, causing a ripple effect that extends far beyond the company itself. DJI is continuing its efforts to negotiate and present evidence to clear its name, but the outcome remains uncertain. As we await the final decision, the entire tech community watches closely, hoping for a resolution that balances national security concerns with the undeniable benefits of drone technology. If you found this video informative, please like, subscribe, and share it. Comment below on where you're watching from and what your drone experience is. Click on the notification bell so you never miss an update. There are links in the description to help support this channel. If you click on the link, you can make your everyday purchases on Amazon, and we will receive a small commission. Also, check out our American Northwest Aviation YouTube channel for exclusive aviation videos. From farms to film sets, who feels the sting of a DJI ban? Drones aren't just expensive toys for tech enthusiasts. They've become essential in many fields. The Countering CCP Drones Act threatens progress. Farmers rely on drones for surveying fields and spraying pesticides. These drones increase yields and reduce costs. Filmmakers use drones for stunning aerial shots. Search and rescue teams save lives with drones. This ban could have far-reaching consequences. Farmers emphasize that drones help them monitor crop health, manage resources efficiently, and respond quickly to issues. In construction, drones are used for site surveys, progress tracking, and safety inspections. Emergency responders rely on drones to quickly assess disaster zones and coordinate rescue efforts. Conservationists use drones to monitor wildlife and protect endangered species. Even the logistics industry is exploring drone technology for efficient delivery services. The potential applications of drones are vast and varied, making the implications of a ban even more significant.
You know, I've been flying drones for years, and it's been an amazing journey. But with these new regulations, I'm starting to wonder how much longer my current drones will be compliant. It's a bit worrying. The uncertainty is unsettling, especially for those of us who have invested significant time and money into our equipment.
Absolutely. The new legislation has many drone enthusiasts concerned about the future of their existing devices. While current drones are safe for now, the question remains: how long will that last? The evolving regulatory landscape could mean that today's compliant drones might not meet tomorrow's standards, leaving many to question the longevity of their investments. If you're thinking about diving into aerial photography, now might be the perfect time. Costco has some great deals on drones that are compliant with the current regulations.
Yeah, definitely. The DJI Mini 3, for example, is a fantastic option. It's compact, easy to use, and offers stunning photo and video quality. But keep in mind, the regulatory landscape is changing, so it's important to stay informed.
Additionally, Costco's return policy is quite generous, which can give you peace of mind when making such an investment. However, it's crucial to act quickly, as these deals may not last long. With the evolving regulations, having a compliant drone now could save you from future headaches.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check for any firmware updates or new guidelines from the FAA. Staying updated ensures that you can continue to enjoy your drone without any legal issues.
Navigating the world of drone certification can seem daunting, but it's essential for anyone serious about flying drones.
Right. The certification process is designed to ensure that drone operators understand the rules and can fly safely. It involves a knowledge test that covers various aspects of drone operation and safety. Staying compliant not only keeps you safe, but also helps protect the airspace for everyone.
And beyond certification, there are ongoing requirements like renewing your registration and staying updated with any new regulations. It's a commitment, but one that ensures you can enjoy your drone activities responsibly. To get started, there are numerous resources available, including study materials and online courses that can help you prepare for the certification exams. Joining drone community forums can also be beneficial, as experienced pilots often share valuable tips and insights.
Look out for drone safety workshops and local flying clubs where you can gain hands-on experience and learn from others.
Remember, achieving certification is a significant milestone that opens up many opportunities, whether for recreational flying or commercial ventures. As drone technology continues to advance, staying informed and certified will be crucial for adapting to new regulations and making the most of your drone flying experience.
Here is the beginning of your journey to become a drone pilot. It is divided into a few sections here. So the first one we'll cover briefly, which is to become a certificated remote pilot for first-time pilots. To get to this page, you can type it in or just do a search, become a certificated remote pilot at faa.gov, and you should be able to come up with this page. So briefly going over first-time pilots, you need to read this stuff, and this is what you need to comply with. What this video is for at this point is to alert all pilots that already have a Part 61 certificate, such as an ATP or a private pilot, or even I think recreational pilot, whatever is governed under Part 61 and issued under Part 61, then this, if you have one of those, then this is what you need to comply with. And the thing I'll point out first is that you don't take the 107 test, you just have to complete a Part 107 small UAS initial online training course, as well as some other requirements. So don't prepare to take the 107 exam. Instead, in fact, don't go pay the 175 or whatever. All you have to do is click here, and it goes to FAAsafety.gov, small 107, small UAS initial for Part 61 pilots. Enroll in the class. The course overview, introduction, course content, resources, glossary, and course review. Enroll in the class. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and put my email address in there, and your password will be hidden as you type it. Well, let's see. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this. Email and password. Don't have an account. Okay, yeah, this is your FAA account. So anyway, I need to go get that information and then log in. But then you just take the course, and you can see right here, if we backtrack here, it says here, actually let's go back one more. The cost was listed here somewhere, which is nothing. Oh, here it is. So Part 107 small UAS initial, which is not a test, I don't believe, but you just do it right here, even if it is a test. But it's a course, and there's no cost. So that's the good news. You can do it right on your computer. So let's go back to first-time pilots. So again, if you are a pilot already, an airline pilot, a private pilot, a recreational pilot, if you have a license already or a certificate that's issued under Part 61, then you don't need to take the 107 test. So first-time pilots. To become a pilot, you must be, and this is for drone pilot, at least 16 years old, be able to speak, read, write, and understand English, be in physical and mental condition to safely fly a drone, pass the initial aeronautical exam, Unmanned Aircraft General, small UAG. And that will be actually shown in Part 107. In fact, that is the name of Part 107, Unmanned Aircraft General, small. So, again, if you are already a pilot, do not take the 107 exam. Just come to this page, scroll down, and go to existing Part 61 certificate holders, which we'll read in a little bit and go over. But again, you've got to take the initial 107 small UAS initial right here. You just click there and you can take it right there, the course, and maybe an exam after, but it's not something you have to pay for. Existing Part 61 holders will come back. You do have to do some online recurrent, just like 107 guys that have to take the test originally. So, to become a certified remote pilot, if you do not have a pilot license already, we've read this amount, or this area. Requirements for remote pilot certificate. Must be easily accessible by the remote pilot during all UAS operations. Certificate holder must complete the online training course every 24 months or maintain aeronautical knowledge recency. To maintain aeronautical knowledge recency. Now, I don't know if you need to take that initially or if the 107 counts for that right now, but we'll follow up on that later. Navigating the process to become a drone pilot. We're not in Part 107 yet. This is just a page the FAA has on their website to navigate the process, which I wish I had gone to a few weeks ago. Navigating the process to become a drone pilot. Step 1, obtain an FAA tracking number, an FTN. So you need to go to IACRA, Integrated Airman Certification and Rating Application, in order to you have to have a tracking number before you can take the test. Schedule an appointment with an FAA approved knowledge testing center after you have your FTN. And an FTN, you're going to have to make a IACRA account and have a password and username and all of that. Once you have that, you'll supply that to the FAA approved knowledge testing center, and if you click on here, find a test center. So this is who does this. I guess the FAA is outsourcing this to private entity PSI. I assume they're a private entity. View test authorization requirements. Here's a reminder. New user. Create an account to get your FAA tracking number. That's the IACRA. So a reminder there to do it again. You can actually create the account right here. And then see, create an account. Yeah. So you can just create your IACRA account right here. And if you've already got an IACRA account, you probably already have a Part 61 certificate. If not, then you already know what an IACRA account is. Maybe you've been dealing with something else that I don't know about that you would need an IACRA account for other than Part 61 certificates. There's also an option here to call toll-free customer service representative for any questions. Interested in helping FAA develop your high-quality certification test? Then PSI needs your help. All right. So, View test authorization requirements. FAA Airman Knowledge Testing Matrix. Airman applicants who do not already have an FTN should establish an FTN by creating a profile, which we just were on the previous page. You could click there and do so. And if you need help, call the 800 number. Acceptable forms of identification. You can read that. U.S. citizens and resident aliens. Read that. U.S. non-U.S. citizens. So if you have any question what you need, go ahead and read that. Just pause the video. By the way, this video should have a closed captioning option in case you want to see the actual words I'm speaking. So again, just pause there and read that if you're not sure what identification you need to have. And read this if you're it's related. Age verification. Read that. Just pause this page and read it if you have any questions about some of these items. I'm not going to go over this stuff. I don't really understand that myself yet. You have some reference material links here. So for studying, you can actually come here. And it looks like the only thing you're going to need to study is Part 107, because under Part 61 there's nothing to do with drone pilots that I know about. 63, certification other than pilots. There might be something there. Certification airmen other than flight crew members. Could be there too. 141, schools. Pretty sure that's not going to apply to you. CFR Part 147, aviation maintenance technician schools. There could be some drone stuff there. U.S. pilot wishing to obtain a Canadian license or Canadian pilot wishing to obtain a U.S. certificate should review this advisory circular. And for those that aren't aware of what an AC is, an FAA advisory circular, you can go to the FAA.gov and see all the circulars. They're not regulations, but they're regulatory in nature, I think I can say. They're best practices or just information about a particular subject. For example, if you want to have a electronic flight bag, an EFB, in your cockpit instead of paper charts, there would be an FAA advisory circular about that. I believe there's also maybe some Part 91 regs regarding that. But lots of advisory circulars that can give you lots of information, and maybe there's some about drones in the advisory circulars. But this particular advisory circular is about Canadian to US, US to Canadian certification process. Acceptable forms of applicant address verification. Pause this if you need to read that. Other acceptable forms of applicant address verification. If you're not on the website following along with me, just go ahead and pause this. It looks like some more Canadian conversion stuff here. as well as maybe something else. I'm not going to go over it. If any of this looks interesting, pause and read over it. Again, none of this is applicable as far as I'm concerned. If you fail the test, then it looks like you'll come here to see what to do next. It looks like a 30-day waiting period is required before retesting. If the applicant presents a failed AKTR, I don't know what that stands for. Okay, it stands for Airman Knowledge Test Report. So if the applicant presents a failed AKTR but no retesting endorsement, and that's note 1. Retests do not require a 30-day waiting period if the applicant presents a signed statement from an airman holding the certificate and ratings sought by the applicant. This statement must certify that the airman has given the applicant additional instruction in each of the subjects failed, and that the airman considers the applicant ready for retesting. By the way, if you missed in the beginning of this video, what we're going over right now is the 107 test requirements for airmen that do not have an air certificate already, or pilot license as it's called, for under Part 61. So recreational pilot through airline transport pilot, private pilot, all that. If you have one of those already, you don't need to take the test. Go to the top and follow the directions that say, let's just go back up there for a second. Yeah, we're in a different document. So just go back to the original document from the beginning of this video and go to if you already have a Part 61 certificate, something like that. I don't see that any of this is pertinent to most people. By the way, if you need a question answered, you can put it in the comments and I'll try to address it. I'm going to just go really fast through all of this. This is obviously not just for drone pilots. Well, here's something that relates to us. Unmanned aircraft systems, airman knowledge testing supplement for sport pilots, recreational pilots, remote pilots, and private pilot. Interesting. Unmanned aircraft general small. Authorization for the UAG test requires no instructor endorsement. Or other forms of written authorization. Acceptable forms of retest. Expired AKTR. Failed. Well, let's just open this supplement and see what's there. So remote pilot. So this is a document you can download right here. All right. Didn't know about this. So contents. Chart excerpts. Let's see how it's presented. I wonder if it's all one document for all of the above applicants. Oh, excellent. Okay, so you got a sectional chart legend, which is, if you actually have a sectional aeronautical chart, this will all be on there. So go and download this. This will be good information to help you pass the 107. And for pilots that already have a 61, you probably want to look at this stuff, because if you're not a CFI teaching private pilots, you're probably not up on all this stuff. This video will be the first in a series. I don't know how many we'll end up with, but to go over the entire Title 14 Part 107. I just bought a DJI Mini 3 from Costco and did not realize that I would need to have a license or take a test in order to upload videos to YouTube if you're monetized, and probably ought to take the test anyway if you're uploading videos to YouTube with the intent of being monetized. Probably a gray area. So I would recommend taking the test for 107 regardless of whether you're monetized or not. And of course, if you're using it for any commercial purposes whatsoever, if the intent is that you are going to earn money from it eventually or immediately, then you should take the 107 test. So my intent here is to go over all of 107. I am a former airline pilot and current corporate jet captain, and so I do know a lot, and I am a former instructor from a long time ago for private pilots, and most recently in the flight sim for the ATR 4272-600. So a lot of the items that are on the test I am very familiar with, but there is a significant amount that I'm not familiar with because it's specific to drones. I have no experience with drones except for the past month after purchasing this drone at Costco. So when we do open up the regulation pages under ECFR Title 14 and Part 107, you should follow along and go ahead and read the regulation, and I will give some kind of explanation to the regulation. I've already read over the first Subpart A, and this video will contain all of Subpart A. And again, the point of this is to prepare you for passing the written test. What I know so far is that it cost about $175, and this is currently June of 2024. And for me, I live up just below Abbotsford, Canada in the US, near Maple Falls, Washington, and I have to drive probably 2 to 3 hours to go take the test down in the Seattle area. And to reiterate, this is for the United States FAA authorization to fly a drone for commercial purposes. That's what this video is regarding. So I wanted to also reiterate that it appears that we only need to study 107. Initially, I thought we'd have to study Part 91, which is the rules for pilots in manned aircraft. But upon further evaluation, I have determined that it's all under Part 107 for us, all the laws. Also under Part 61, you usually find, that's where you find all of the regulations for getting your private pilot license, a recreational pilot license, commercial, airline transport, multi-engine, instrument, all of that. All of those requirements are under Part 61 of Title 14. But it appears that everything we need is under 107. If we determine later that there are other areas that we need to study outside of 107 to pass the written test, we'll cover that. But for now, it looks like all we have to concentrate on is Title 14, Part 107. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the one I bought and what I know so far about it, the DJI Mini 3. I did not buy the Mini 3 Pro, and that's what this one's showing. So let's see, Mini 3 bundle here. This is not the one I bought. Well, actually this is. It says Pro Drone Bundle, $649. I did not pay $649. But it looks like the same controller. Oh, this has a 3 battery pack. I wish I had that. Yeah, that would be nice, but not for $649 maybe. Gives you... Okay. Well, we can take a look at it like this too. So, well, disregard that. Anyway, this is the drone I have. This is the controller I have, and I have to use my cell phone and attach it to there. And you have to use the correct cord, because I used the wrong cord that they provided initially. But we'll get into the specific drone maybe in another video. But just so that you know, this is the one I have. This one is less than 0.55 pounds, which is less than 250 grams, which gives us a more lenient set of rules. We'll go over that later as to what that allows you to do. But what I think at this point is that if it's under 0.55 pounds, which this drone is, or 250 grams or less, you don't have to register it with the FAA as long as you're not using it for commercial purposes. You still have to follow all the 107 rules and be aware of them, but you don't have to register, and you don't have to have the 107 license unless you're using it for commercial purposes. That's what I understand so far. With that being said, let's get right into the regulations. And I like to start from the big picture. Where do the regulations actually come from? They come from the Code of Federal Regulations, which now are called ECFR because we have them available in their current form online. And up here you can see in the address bar, it's www.ecfr.gov. That is the real set. Oops, what happened there? Okay, ecfr.gov. We'll go straight to where we're concerned with initially, and then I'll backtrack here a little bit. So we're looking at Title 14, Aeronautics and Space. These are all the federal regulations that have to do with aeronautics and space. And Title 107, or excuse me, Part 107 under Title 14 is going to be under Chapter 1, Federal Aviation Administration, Department of Transportation, between 1 and Part 199. But before we click on there, let's just look at some of the other federal regulations and the titles to get you a feel for the big picture of the federal regulations. So some of the things that some of the areas that are shown here are Title 10 for energy. That's going to have to do with nuclear reactors and stuff like that. We have federal elections, Here's all of banks and banking. Again, these are federal regulations, not state or city. I was looking at this with my daughter because she's a school teacher and she is regulated under state regulations of the state of Washington. But there are some federal regulations for education as well, which the Secretary of Education is in charge of. But again, all of these laws come from Congress. A bill is introduced, the lower house or the House of Representatives votes on them. If it's passed, it goes to the upper house or the Senate, and if it's passed there, then it goes to the president's desk, and the president has the option to veto it or pass it into law. That's where all of these regulations come from. So anyway, you have education here also, parks and forests, the postal service, public health, and it goes all the way down to wildlife and fisheries. By the way, transportation is something I've had to deal with for aviation. So under Title 14 is where all the laws are regarding aviation and aerospace. But Title 14 we've had to deal with because of certain elements such as hazmat. So hazardous materials are governed under Title 14. And whether you can carry them or not, even if you don't carry them, you have to know about them to know how to handle a situation if you get some hazmat on your airplane inadvertently, or or what you can carry that is not considered hazmat, or the certain amount of items such as dry ice that you can carry up to a certain amount, and above that amount it goes into the hazmat restriction section in Title 49. Anyways, so we're dealing with Title 14 only, aerospace, aeronautics, and space. And going to Title 14 and 1 through 199, and we will choose that again right here, Chapter 1, Part, okay. And again, you can just search for Part 107, but I wanted you to know where it actually comes from. And here is where 107 will be under Subchapter F, Air Traffic and Operating Rules. And specifically for drones, we're down here at Part 107, Small Unmanned Aircraft Systems. Sometimes you will see UAS in capital letters with a small s in front of it. That's where this comes from. Part 107's title, Small Air-Manned Aircraft Systems. So please follow along here. I hope it's not too blurry on the screen here. So applicability. Basically, it's saying that this Part 107, by the way, before I go further, we're going to cover all of Subpart A, which goes down to Subpart B, ending in 107.9. And we'll complete the video today, and then the next video will begin at Subpart B, 107.11. So this section, or this entire Part 107, does not apply to air carrier operations, which are like airlines or air charter operators that carry passengers or freight or have some other operation that's governed by the air carrier. It does not apply to them, basically manned operations. It does not apply to any aircraft subject to the provisions of 49. Part 49, I believe, is what they say, or what they mean to say. It does not apply to the holders of an exemption. I don't think this is something we need to worry about. Just know this for the written test in case it comes up. And for any operation that a person elects to conduct under Part 91. So if you're flying under Part 91, which is manned operations, this Part 107 does not apply to you at all. Okay, let's go to Part 107.2. Just memorize this for the test. The provisions of Part 21 of this chapter do not apply to small air-manned aircraft systems. I've looked that up and it clearly doesn't have anything to do with us. But it does say, let's see. Let's just read it. The provisions of Part 21 of this chapter do not apply to small unmanned aircraft systems operated under this part, unless the small unmanned aircraft system will operate over human beings in accordance with Part 107-140, which we'll cover later. Part 107.3, we have some definitions, not too many of them. If you have to go ahead and read these yourselves. I'm just going to go over a couple of them that might not be clear. Small unmanned aircraft means an unmanned aircraft weighing less than 55 pounds, not to be confused with 0.55 pounds. So, 55 pounds, that's a pretty big UAV. And small unmanned aircraft is less than 55 pounds. Small unmanned aircraft system, small UAS, means a small unmanned aircraft and its associated elements, including communication links and the components that control the small unmanned aircraft that are required for the safe and efficient operation of the small unmanned aircraft in the national airspace system. Unmanned aircraft means an aircraft operated without the possibility of direct human intervention from within or on the aircraft. So an unmanned aircraft is an aircraft that is not a manned aircraft. No humans are on board this aircraft operating it. A visual observer, which we'll learn more about further into this Part 107, means a person who is designated by the remote pilot in command to assist the remote pilot in command and the person manipulating the flight controls of the small UAS to see and avoid other traffic or objects aloft or on the ground. So a visual observer would be an extension of the pilot in command to help him avoid other objects. 107.5, falsification, reproduction, or alteration. Bottom line, tell the truth in your paperwork, in your statements. I just think you ought to read this one on your own time and memorize it for the test. 107.7, inspection, testing, and demonstration of compliance. This would be a good one for you to just read. So, the main point here is that you have to show your license or any required paperwork. If asked by the FAA administrator or his representative, or which basically means an FAA inspector, he can show you his badge. I think it's called a 110 badge or an A110. Anyway, an authorized representative of the NTSB. And again, they should be able to display the appropriate badge. But you also have to comply with the request if a federal, state, or local law enforcement officer asks to see your documentation or your 107 certificate. An authorized representative of the TSA. Okay, just read this in detail so that you can be ready to pass the test on this question. But the main takeaway again is even law enforcement that has nothing to do with aviation can request that you show them your license and your ID. And when I say license, I mean your 107. (107.9) Safety event reporting. Basically, within 10 days, if you've injured someone, basically if they've had to go to the hospital, probably, they've lost consciousness, and again it says serious injury, so it is subjective there. Obviously a scratch is not something that's going to require you to make a report to the FAA, but if you determine it's a serious injury, I think if they went to the hospital, definitely you have to report it. So, and damage to any property that does not exceed $500, you do not have to report. But anything over $500 to the property, any value over $500, if it is damaged to that extent, needs to be reported to the FAA within 10 days. Blah, blah, blah. Excuse me for screwing that up. Okay, we're at Subpart B, so that concludes this video. We'll see you in the next video, and hopefully I have put it up in the end screen. If it's not there, it just means I haven't made it yet. I am studying to take this test myself, and I'm going over this, and I figured I might as well go over this on a video so that we can do it together. Thank you. Oh, and please subscribe. And if you liked this, please like it, and please share with us where you're watching from, and please click on the notification bell so that you can be notified when the next video in this series is available.